Hello there, this is James and you're watching Tixee Live. And a very good morning to all of you, and all of you a very happy Tuesday. In today's program, I want to discuss the huge uphill challenge or uphill struggle the new UK Prime Minister faces. Plus a little bit more Fed talk and a little something about WhatsApp, the messaging app. Something's happened to WhatsApp today, and discuss that implications to a certain earnings report due tomorrow. But before we get into all of that, don't forget, these little videos are for educational purposes only, and in no way whatsoever should be taken as financial advice. I always suggest you do your own research and do your own due diligence. And of course, there are the risks at hand before entering any trade. With that out of the way, let's get started. Okie doke. So anyway, good morning. Good morning to you too. I hope you're well. So anyway, let's start off with, there's some recent stuff about the Fed. Let's start off with the Fed. Now, obviously, all eyes for the Fed is on the 2nd of November, because that is when they're going to be doing their next interest rate decision. Now, in a recent poll done by Reuters, 86 to 90 economists predict another 75 basic point rate hike by the Fed in November. Now, to be fair, that's not a staggering number, because we pretty much all of us expect another 75 in November. In fact, only four people predict 50 basic point rate hike in November. Now, I think, like I say, after that shocking CPI reading we had 2 weeks ago, where it came in at 8.2% year on year, versus 8.1% expected, plus the core CPI coming at 6.6%, we all pretty much assume, and the market is assuming, that we are going to see a fourth rate hike of 75 by the Fed. In another poll, and I want to talk a little bit more about this, in another poll, majority of experts predict only a 50 basic point rate hike in December, which again is still pretty aggressive, not as aggressive as 75, but another 50 in December. Again, which I think the market, we had a chat on Friday about that, where the market got a little bit optimistic because there's a report in the Wall Street Journal that the Fed were arguing about doing 50 in December. Again, I think we're pretty much on point or in agreement that is most likely is what's going to happen. Now, Jan, the chief US macro strategist at TD Securities, he had this to say in reference to the Fed. Sorry, I didn't drink of water. In reference to the Fed, he said, instead of the pivot, as in stopping increasing interest rates, in our view, the Fed is signaling that they will foresee shifting from front loading up in December, carry on, towards more of a guided or grinding pace of hikes from there onwards. So in other words, what he says, instead of the Fed stopping about increasing interest rates, he sees, and I would probably agree with him to some extent, because I see this too, them slightly slowing down with their aggressive moves. So instead of doing 75, we'll start seeing 50 in December, and then maybe from there onwards 25. So we see a gradual increase in interest rates instead of being very aggressive. Someone else, Brett Ryan, he was a senior US economist at Deutsche Bank. He says, Fed officials have indicated that pausing is only possible after a clear and compelling evidence inflation has moderated. He goes on to say, with the Fed continuing its aggressive tightening to rein in persistent inflation, we expect a moderate recession likely to begin in Q3 next year. So again, he's saying, yes, they're going to slightly slow down, but they won't stop till inflation, is really showing signs of slowing down. And it's not, don't forget, core, like I said, was announced at 6.6%, which is shocking. 6.6%, so yeah, I think we're all in agreement that the Fed may start slowing down, but they're not. I saw one particular market guru, so to speak, so he thinks he is. He said that, he believes that they won't stop inflation or start reducing inflation, reducing interest rates till they see inflation get to half. So after that means the core will need to come down to 3.3 and the headline will need to come down to 4.1. So we're a long way off from that, a long way off from that. But anyway, that's the latest Fed discussion. And like I say, we will have to see what happens on the 2nd of November, because that's the next big one. Now, what else I want to talk about? Running up a hill. It's not because I watched Stranger Things recently either, and I'm a big Kate Bush fan, but just that this is what came to mind when I thought about the new PM coming in. Obviously, the new PM, Rishi Sunak, inherits a country in a complete mess, especially after his short-term predecessor. See what she did with her Trussonomics. Now, if you just look at what he faces, okay, this is just some of the things. Inflation in the UK at 40-year high. A cost of living crisis. 60% of people are struggling to pay their bills now. Blackouts, possibly, in the winter because of the energy crisis. And a country on the brink of recession. So he's on a really big uphill challenge, a lot of challenges. The one thing in his favor, okay, and this is what's calmed the markets slightly, and we'll have a quick look at the sterling in a minute. Calm the market slightly is that A, he does come from a very economic background. Don't forget, he was the Chancellor of the Exchequer. So he does have a very good, firm knowledge of this. Plus, he's a self-made man. He's one of the richest politicians in Parliament because of his previous stuff, what he's done. And he has, lots of qualifications in economics. So he does come with a lot of experience. And with that experience, obviously, then comes a lot of anticipation for you to steady the ship. And he has acknowledged that he inherits something, and he's warning us. He has said that we face a profound economic challenge. So he's well aware of what's in front of him. One of the first things he's going to need to do is trying to find 40 billion in tax cuts to try and stop plugging the hole in one of the borrowing, the UK deficit. 40 billion he's got to come up with, as well as getting everything else steady and together. And obviously, with the Bank of England, work with Bank of England as well. So he's got a big challenge ahead of him, But like I say, he does have a rather impressive CV, which does go in his favor. But we'll have a quick look at the sterling. Just on that note, because of this, even though, like I say, he steadied the market because he's come in and he's a bit more highly regarded than Liz Truss because of his experience. ING predicts the British pound to fall below 1.10 by the end of the year. So fundamentally, like I said, though it's steady at the moment, there is still so much going against the sterling. There's so many things. And like I say, on the brink of recession, they might even be in recession by now. But let's have a quick look at the sterling, see where it stands at the moment. Sorry, excuse me. So as you can see, it's added to the stream. There we go. Finally got there. As you can see, it's fairly steady at the moment. This is on a daily. Currently trading above 113 again, 113.20. To be realistically, we need to move above the 115 handle. Don't forget, ING also predicts that the 115 is going to be the cap for it. As we can see, it tried to challenge that level before falling back down again. So yeah, I do really see 115 being the key point as well, and potentially a potential area of resistance there at 115. That's where I think it will struggle at the moment. At the moment, a little bit of support just below the 110 handle where ING says. So realistically, yeah, we could see it trade, in the medium to long term between a potential resistance of 115 and a potential support level around the 110 area. Euro sterling as well. Let's have a quick look at the euro sterling. Again, pretty choppy. Obviously, we steadied the ship a little bit. Currently trading at 0.8708. Other things I want to talk about. Yes, what else do I want to talk about? Oh, yes, dollar yen. We'll bring this back up. Dollar yen. Don't forget, we had 2 cases of BOJ intervention yesterday on the dollar yen. And we'll bring that up in a minute, which has calmed the waters slightly. But like I said yesterday, it hasn't deterred the dollar bulls too much either. It hasn't changed the trend. Okay, because the reason for that, and I've said this before in another video, you've got 2 separate monetary policies. You've got aggressive Fed and a very, very dovish BOJ. Don't forget their interest rates is still negative 0.10. So that's the difference you got with that. So let's have a quick look at the dollar yen, see where that is. So this is where the dollar yen is at the moment. Again, this is on the daily. We can see we're still on the uptrend. That intervention did mean it spiked below it, but it is finding some buying power just below the 147.53 region. I mean, if we look at the 30 minutes, and this is where it's a bit calmer today, these were the candles where the BOJ intervened. Okay, it intervened. It was around 151, and it crashed all the way down below, just about 145 nearly, before the buying went back in again. And then again, they intervened again, managed to spike below, down to 145 again, until the dollar bulls came back in again. So again, intervention is just not doing enough at the moment. But like I say, the bulls do seem a bit calmer. Calmer waters. They do seem a little bit nervous to challenge the BOJ again. So currently trading very sideways on a 30-minute at 148.88. Other things, something else I want to talk about. Yes, something which is happening today. And my girlfriend pointed it out to me first before I saw the headlines. WhatsApp has crashed around the world. Okay. In fact, Meta, the owner of WhatsApp, they received 12,000 complaints within the first 30 minutes. They have said they're aware of the problem and they're trying to get it fixed. But here's the thing for me. This happens on the eve of their earnings report due tomorrow. And don't forget, I've always spoken about Facebook, Meta Facebook, a fair bit over the last couple of videos. Don't forget, Bank of America, okay, again, downgraded them yesterday from buying to neutral. Plus, their investors are asking them to downgrade their workforce because obviously they're worried about the costs. Bear in mind what happened to Snap and their lower revenue in their digital ads. Facebook relies on digital ads as well. So again, this is just another problem for them to face. And for this to happen on the eve of their earnings is just very interesting, very, very unfortunate indeed. So it'll be interesting to see what that is. It'll be interesting to see if they can fix it and how the market reacts in the US session to this and see how Facebook does on the US Open. Anyway, big events coming up this week. We've only got Bank of Canada interest rate decision, ECB interest rate decision. They expect to do 75. I expect them to do 75. I'll be really disappointed if they don't. US durable goods, German GDP, and German CPI. But the real big one for me is going to be obviously ECB interest rate decision on Thursday. European markets as they currently stand, with the tixee negative 0.54%. DAX currently trading in the red as well, negative 35%, 0.35, and your stock slightly in the green, up 0.11%. So there we go. That's what's happening at the moment. What other things we got coming up? Microsoft and Alphabet earnings come out today. That'd be interesting to see. I'm really more interested. Like I said yesterday, in my video yesterday, I'm really interested in Facebook and see how they perform. Don't forget, you can ask me questions anytime you wish, or share with me your opinions or your ideas. Let me know what you're trading. What do you think about Facebook? What do you think about the new UK PM? Do you agree what challenges he has to face? Because it's going to be a pretty uphill struggle for him. It really, really is. Don't forget, if you also think of a question later, you can put it in the comment section, either on Facebook and YouTube. I will see them, and I will reply to them next time I go live on air, which of course will be later this afternoon at 2 p.m. UTC to cover the US session. So don't forget that option too. Okie doke. If there is no questions, not a problem. Don't forget, if you're watching me on Facebook and you enjoyed this little video, by all means, give us a follow. If you're watching me on YouTube and you enjoyed this little video, subscribe if you like. Hit the notification button so you know next time I'm going live. If you enjoyed this video, find it interesting and useful, and you've put up with me, my over-the-top enthusiasm for the markets, I simply just can't help, then give me one of these. It's nice to know that you like what I do. I can see I've got a couple of likes already, which I really appreciate. Anyway, till next time, don't forget, these little videos are for educational purposes only, and in no way whatsoever should ever be taken as financial advice. I always suggest you do your own research and do your own due diligence. And of course, there are the risks at hand before entering any trade. Till next time, every single one of you, trade safe.